The night sky of the alien world was on fire. A small human ship screamed as it fell, metal breaking apart in the storm clouds. Sparks lit the black heavens like dying stars. The ship hit the ground with a terrible sound, shaking the forest of strange, glowing trees. Inside, one survivor crawled out. A woman. Her clothes were torn, her face covered with dirt and ash. Her heart pounded as she looked around. The air was thick, the sky red, and the land filled with sounds she did not know. Her name was Alara, a scientist, not a soldier. She had no weapons, no map, and no hope of rescue. Alone, the wind carried strange roars from deep inside the forest. She shivered. This was not Earth. This was not safe. She tried to move, but her leg hurt. Each step was painful. She leaned on a broken piece of metal, using it like a stick, and began walking away from the smoking crash. Behind her, the ship burned like a grave. Then a shadow moved between the trees. Alara froze. Something large was watching her. Her breath caught in her throat. The shadow stepped closer. The ground shook with each step. Out of the smoke came a giant figure. His skin was dark bronze, his body covered with scars and strange markings that glowed faintly in the night. His height was double hers, his shoulders broad, his arms strong, enough to break stone. His eyes glowed silver, fixed on her. Alara's heart raced. She wanted to run, but her body would not move. The giant lowered his head, studying her carefully. He spoke, his voice deep like thunder. "You are human." Alara's lips trembled. "What are you?" The creature's gaze softened. "Am not your enemy." He bent down and lifted her easily into his arms, as if she weighed nothing. His skin was hot, his heartbeat strong. She gasped but did not fight him. Something about his touch was strange, it felt. "Careful. I can walk," she whispered, but he shook his head. "No, the forest is not safe. You are hurt." "I will carry you." Alara looked at him in shock. "Why are you helping me?" The alien's eyes darkened. "'Cause if I do not, you will die before the next moon rises." They moved through the glowing forest. Strange plants bent as they passed. Small creatures with too many eyes watched from the branches. The night was alive with whispers and growls. Alara stared up at the alien who carried her. His body was massive, his muscles hard like stone, yet his grip was gentle. She could not understand him. He looked like a warrior, but he treated her like something precious. Finally, she spoke again. "What is your name?" He was silent for a long time. Then he said softly, "Kale." She repeated it, her voice low. "Kale." For a moment, his lips curved into something almost like a smile. But then, from the shadows, came a roar. The trees shook. Red eyes appeared in the dark. Something huge, covered in bone-like armor, rushed at them with claws ready to tear. Kale growled and turned his body, shielding Alara. He placed her down behind a rock. "Stay," he ordered. His silver eyes burned bright. The beast charged. Kale met it with a roar of his own. The ground shook when they clashed. Claws scraped against his skin, leaving bloody marks, but Kale did not fall. He fought with his fists, each strike like a hammer. Alara covered her ears, screaming as the sounds of battle shook the night. She wanted to help, but she was helpless. Finally, with one last strike, Kale broke the monster's neck. The beast fell silent, breathing hard, blood running down. His arms, Kale returned to her. He lifted her again, ignoring his own wounds. You saved me," Alara whispered. Kale's voice was low, almost broken. "Do not thank me. You should not be here. Human cannot live long on this world. Her eyes filled with tears. But I have nowhere else to go. For a long time, Kale looked at her. Its expression was full of something she could not read: pain, sadness, maybe even longing. Finally, he spoke words that made her shiver. My body is too big, human. I am not breeding material. My kind was never meant to be close with yours, but still, I will not let you die. He carried her deeper into the forest, away from the crash, away from the danger. Alara's thoughts spun. Who was this giant? Why did he say such words, and why? Despite everything, did she feel safe in his arms? The night grew darker. The storm above grew louder. Somewhere far away, more roars echoed through the wild. But for the first time since the crash, Alara closed her eyes and let herself breathe. She was not alone anymore, but she had no idea what this alien world still planned for her, and she had no idea what Kale truly meant when he said he was not breeding material. The forest stretched endlessly, glowing with strange light. Trees pulsed like beating hearts, and the ground shimmered with silver moss. Kale carried Alara without stopping, his long strides cutting through the night. She wanted to ask questions, but the fear of more monsters kept her silent. His chest was warm against her cheek, his heartbeat steady and strong. For the first time since the crash, she felt a fragile kind of safety. Finally, Kale stopped at the base of a cliff. A dark opening gaped between the rocks. The cave mouth looked dangerous, but Kale stepped inside without fear. The cave was not ordinary. The walls glowed faintly, covered with crystals that hummed like living things. Warm air drifted through cracks as if the earth itself was breathing. Kale set her gently on the ground. His silver eyes studied her carefully. You will stay here. This cave is hidden. The beasts will not smell you. Alara touched her injured leg and winced. And? You? Will you stay? Kale hesitated. I should not. My kind does not mix with yours, but if I leave, you will not survive. Alara looked around the strange shelter. The crystals gave off light enough to see. She whispered, then stay, please. For a long moment, Kale was silent. Then, he nodded once. A strange home Kale worked quickly. He pulled down branches from outside, placing them across the cave entrance. He crushed glowing plants into a paste and pressed it against her wound. The strange medicine burned, but then the pain eased. You know how to heal, Alara said softly. Kale's face was hard. I know how to fight. Healing came after many battles. She wanted to ask more, but his eyes told her not to push. Instead, she watched him move. Every motion was careful, precise. He was built for war, yet he moved with the patience of someone carrying something fragile. As he prepared the fire, Alara whispered, You could have left me at the crash. Why didn't you? Kale's hand froze over the wood. He did not look at her when he answered. Because I know what it is to be the last one alive. The fire crackled, shadows dancing across the glowing walls. Alara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. The warning hours passed. The storm outside grew louder, rain striking the rocks like drums. Inside the cave, silence stretched between them. Alara broke it. You said, You're not breeding material. What did you mean? Kale's eyes snapped to hers, sharp like blades. For a long time, he did not answer. Finally, he said, My people are warriors. Too large, too strong. We were made for destruction, not for life. No female of my kind would stay with me, and a human would break under my touch. His voice was low, almost bitter. Alara's heart ached. She wanted to tell him he was wrong, but her voice failed. Instead, she whispered, Yet you hold me gently. For the first time, Kale looked. Away. The danger returns. They did not sleep long. A sound came from the forest. A scraping, a dragging, as if claws were cutting stone. Kale stood instantly, his body tense. He pressed a finger to his lips, warning Alara to stay silent. The sound grew closer. Heavy breathing, a hiss. Something outside was searching for them. Alara's heart pounded. She held her breath. Kale crouched near the cave entrance, his massive frame ready to strike. His silver eyes glowed in the firelight, turning him in two. Something both terrifying and beautiful. The scraping stopped. Silence. Then, with sudden force, a monster slammed against the branches. Alara screamed. The wooden barrier cracked. A massive claw tore through, reaching for her. Kale roared, grabbing the claw with both hands. Muscles bulged as he wrestled the beast back. The ground shook with their struggle. The branches snapped, shards flying. "Run!" Kale shouted. But Alara could not run. Her leg was too weak. She could only watch as the alien warrior fought like a storm. The beast forced its head inside the cavet's eyes, glowing red, its mouth dripping with slime. Kale slammed his fist into its skull. The cave echoed with bone-breaking dot. At last, with one brutal strike, the monster fell limp, dragged back into the forest. The bond deepens, breathing hard. Kale staggered. Blood ran down his chest, dark and thick. Alara crawled to him. "You're hurt." He tried to push her away, but she pressed her hands against his wounds, desperate. "Don't tell me to stay back. You saved me again." Her small hands trembled against his massive body. Kale looked down at her, his expression unreadable. "You are fragile," he whispered. "So fragile. And yet, you stay close, even when I tell you not to." Alara met his eyes, her voice firm despite her fear. "Because I trust you." For the first time, Kale's silver eyes softened. His massive hand brushed her hair, almost in disbelief. "You should not trust me," he murmured. "But I want you to." The storm raged outside the cave, but inside, only the crackle of fire filled the silence. Kale sat near the entrance, his massive frame blocking the light. His silver eyes never rested. He watched the forest as if waiting for the next attack. Alara lay against the glowing wall, her injured leg wrapped with Kale's strange medicine. She could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the beast's red eyes, its claws reaching for her. But then, when she looked at Kale, a different image filled her mind. His arms around her, his strength holding back death itself. Finally, she whispered, "You didn't have to fight for me." Twice, Kale didn't turn. His voice was low, rough like gravel. "I told you, alone, you would not survive. I only did what was needed." Alara frowned. "No, you did more than that. You risked your life for me." The giant's shoulders tensed. "Do not read too much into it, human. My body is made for war. I do not know another way to live." A fragile moment, the firelight flickered across his scars. Alara studied them, lines etched deep into his bronze skin. They were not just wounds from beasts. They told of years, maybe decades of battles. She spoke softly, as if afraid her words might break something. "You said you know what it feels like to be the last one alive. Did your people, did they die?" For a moment, Kale was silent. Then he turned his head slightly, silver eyes catching the fire. "They did not die. They left me behind. Too large, too dangerous. No female wanted to stand beside me." A heart ached. She saw no monster before her, only a lonely soul. "You're not dangerous to me," she said, though her voice trembled. Kale stared at her as if the words were a weapon aimed at his chest. Then, slowly, he looked away. The river days passed inside the glowing cave. Kale hunted strange animals and brought glowing fruit from the forest. Ilara learned to crush the crystal plants into food and helped clean his wounds. Slowly, survival became less desperate, almost like routine. One morning, Kale said, "Come, I will teach you how to find water." They walked deeper into the caves. The tunnels twisted, lit by veins of light. Finally, they reached an underground river. It shimmered blue, alive with strange fish. Ilara's face lit up. "It's beautiful." Kale watched her carefully. "Do not get too close. The current is strong." But curiosity pulled her forward. She knelt, touching the water with her fingers. It was cool, refreshing. For one moment, she forgot fear. Then the ground beneath her cracked. "Ilara!" Kale roared. She screamed as the rock gave way, pulling her into the rushing current. The water swallowed her instantly. She fought to breathe, arms flailing, the current dragging her deeper. The glowing fish swirled around like ghosts. Before she could sink, a massive hand grabbed her wrist. Kale's grip was iron. With a growl, he pulled her up, water crashing around them. She clung to him, coughing, her heart pounding. He held her against his chest, his voice fierce. "I told you not to go close." Her lips trembled. I thought I could handle it." Kale's arms tightened. His silver eyes burned as he whispered, "You could have died. I cannot lose you." The first touch of trust back in the cave, Ilara sat by the fire, still shaking. Kale's wet hair clung to his face, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. She looked at him, at the warrior, who had saved her again and again. Finally, she spoke. "You keep saying you are too big, too dangerous. But every time I need you, you hold me carefully. You protect me. You keep me alive." Kale's hands clenched. His voice was almost a growl. "Because I fear what I feel. I was made to destroy, not to protect. But with you." He stopped, shaking his head. "With you, I am different." Ilara's heart skipped. She reached out, slowly, her fingers brushing his scarred arm. His skin was hot beneath her touch, its muscles trembling as if her small hand carried more power than any weapon. "Kale," she whispered, "you're not alone anymore." A shadow in the dark, the firelight danced between them, warm and fragile. For the first time, Kale allowed himself to relax. His shoulders lowered, his eyes softened. But deep in the forest, something stirred. Eyes glowed in the distance, watching the cave. Many eyes. The sound of claws scraping against stone echoed. Through the night, Ilara didn't hear it, but Kale did. His head snapped toward the entrance, body tensing like a bow ready to break. "Ilara," he said softly, "get behind me." Fear prickled her skin. "What is it?" Kale rose to his full height, towering, his hand tightening around a jagged piece of crystal like a weapon. His silver eyes burned brighter than the fire as he growled, "We are not alone." The cave trembled. Growls echoed through the stone walls. Shadows moved at the entrance, dozens of them, crawling and snarling. Their eyes glowed red like burning coals. Ilara's breath caught. She pressed her back against the glowing wall, her hand shaking. "Kale, there are too many." Kale stood tall, his silver eyes blazing. In one hand, he gripped a jagged crystal shard, sharp as any blade. His voice was calm, but his body was ready for war. "Stay behind me. Do not move." The first beast leaped inside, claws flashing. Kale met it with a roar, driving the crystal through its chest. Black blood sprayed across the stone. The monster fell, but more poured in. The cave filled with chaos snarls, screams, the crack of bones. Kale moved like a storm, striking with brutal strength. His fists crushed skulls, his kicks shattered bones. Yet for every beast he killed, 2 more appeared. Elara clutched her chest, heart racing. She wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The cave was their prison. The desperate fight Kale fought without rest. His massive body became a wall between Elara and death. Claws tore at his skin, leaving bloody lines, but he did not fall. One beast slipped past him, crawling toward Elara. She screamed. The creature's jaws widened, then Kale's arms slammed down, grabbing the beast by the neck. With a single twist, he broke it, tossing it aside. His voice was a snarl. "You will not touch her." But the horde kept coming. Kale's breaths grew heavy, his wounds burned. Blood dripped onto the glowing floor. Elara saw his strength fading. Fear crushed her chest. She cried out, "Kale, stop! You'll die." Kale turned, silver eyes fierce. "If I fall, you fall. I will not allow that." With a roar, he struck again, sending beasts crashing into the stone. The breaking point hours seemed to pass in minutes. At last, the monsters began to retreat, dragging their dead. Their growls faded into the forest. Silence returned, broken only by Kale's heavy breathing. He staggered, his chest covered in blood, his body trembling. The crystal shard fell from his hand. Elara ran to him, catching his arm before he collapsed. "Kale, stay with me." His voice was weak, low. "You are safe. That is all that matters." She pulled him to the firelight, her hands shaking as she pressed cloth against his wounds. Tears filled her eyes. "You keep saying you're too big, too dangerous. But you risk everything for me. Why?" Kale's silver eyes met hers, soft, even through the pain. His voice broke as he whispered, "Because when I hold you, I do not feel like a monster." The Tushalara froze. His words cut deeper than any blade. She saw the scars on his body, the loneliness in his eyes. All this time, he believed he was unworthy. Without thinking, she reached up and touched his face. Her fingers brushed his rough skin, tracing the scars. "Kale, you're not a monster. You're the reason I'm alive." Kale's breath caught. He closed his eyes, leaning slightly into her touch. For a warrior who feared his own strength, that single moment felt more dangerous than the battle itself. "Elara," he whispered, her name heavy on his tongue. "You do not understand. If I lose control, I could break you." Her heart pounded, but she didn't pull back. "Instead," she whispered, "and if you keep pushing me away, you'll break yourself." For a moment, silence. The fire crackled, shadows swaying across the glowing walls. Then Kale's massive hand lifted, trembling. Slowly, carefully, he touched her cheek. His palm dwarfed her face, yet his touch was softer than a whisper. Elara's breath hitched. Their eyes locked, the air between them heavy, charged, with something neither could deny. The night of cold, the storm outside grew worse. Icy wind rushing into the cave. Elara shivered, her body weak from fear and exhaustion. Kale noticed instantly. Without hesitation, he pulled the furs around her, but it wasn't enough. Her teeth still chattered. Finally, with a deep breath, Kale lowered himself beside her. His huge body pressed close, wrapping around her like a shield. His warmth flowed into her, chasing away the cold. Elara gasped softly. "Kale." He whispered in her ear, voice raw. "Forgive me. I told myself never to hold you like this. But I cannot let you freeze." Her heart raced, but instead of fear, she felt something else: safety, comfort, belonging. She pressed closer, resting against his chest. His heartbeat was strong, steady, wrapping around her like a promise. For the first time since the crash, Elara closed her eyes without fear. The storm had passed, but the silence that followed was heavy. The cave smelled of blood and smoke. Kale sat near the fire, his body still, his wounds slowly healing. Elara watched him from across the flames. He looked unshakable, carved from stone, yet she remembered how his voice had broken the night before when he whispered he was not made for love. Her heart beat faster. She had seen warriors before, but none like him. Kale was not just strength. He was scars, silence, and loneliness. And now she realized he was her only world. Words left unspoken for hours, neither of them spoke. Elara's thoughts twisted inside her. She wanted to say it, to admit what she felt, but fear held her back. Would he reject her? Would he call her foolish? Kale finally broke the silence. You should rest. His voice was low, guarded. Your body is weak. Elara shook her head. I can't sleep. Not with all of this inside me. Kale turned, his silver eyes narrowing. Inside you? She swallowed hard. Her voice trembled. Feelings for you. The fire popped. For a moment, the whole cave seemed to hold its breath. Kale's expression hardened, as if her words had struck him. Do not say that. Elara's chest tightened. Why not? It's the truth. His jaw clenched. His hands curled into fists. Because you do not understand, I am not for you. I am too large, too strong. My touch could destroy what I want to protect. Elara stepped closer, ignoring the fear in her chest. And what is that? What do you want to protect? Kale's voice cracked, a sound she had never heard from him before. You. The breaking of walls her breath caught. For the first time, the mask of the warrior slipped, and she saw the truth. Beneath all the scars and power, Kale was terrified not of monsters, not of death, but of hurting the one thing he cared for. Elara whispered, then trust me. Trust that I'm not as fragile as you think. Kale shook his head, trembling. Elara, you are human. Small, breakable. I was born to fight, not to love. My body was never meant to. She silenced him with her hand against his chest. His heart hammered beneath her palm, strong and wild. Your body is not what I care about. Your heart is. His silver eyes widened. For a moment, he looked at her as if she were a star fallen into his hands. Elara. He breathed. Her hand slid upward, resting against his scarred neck. Her voice was steady now. I don't care if you're too big. I don't care if you're dangerous. I want you. Not because you saved me, but because you are you. The first kiss for a long moment. Neither moved. The fire crackled. The forest whispered outside, but inside the cave, the world stood still. Kale's hand lifted, trembling, hovering near her face. His voice was raw. If I hurt you, you won't, she whispered. At last, his lips met. Hers, the kiss was slow, careful, as if he feared she might shatter. But Elara leaned closer, pressing against him, showing him she would not break. Kale's body shook with restraint. He was a storm contained in human form, yet, in that moment, he was gentle, tender, vulnerable. When they finally pulled apart, Elara's eyes glistened. Do you still think you're not made for love? Kale stared at her, his chest rising and falling. I do not know what I think anymore. The Watcher, they sat together, their foreheads touching, hearts racing. For the first time, Kale allowed himself to believe he could be more than a weapon. But far beyond the cave, something stirred. In the forest, a shadow rose from the ground, taller than the trees. Its eyes glowed a sickly green. It was not beast, not animal, something older, darker, a predator of predators. The lesser creatures had retreated because of it. Drawn by Kale's defiance, drawn by Elara's fragile life, the shadow had begun to hunt inside the cave. Elara leaned into Kale's chest, whispering, I feel safe with you." Kale's arms wrapped around her. But his silver eyes flickered toward the cave mouth, sensing the change in the air. The storm was not over. Something worse was coming. The cave was quiet, but Kale could not rest. His arms still held Elara. Her small body curled against his chest. Her breathing had slowed into sleep, soft and steady. But his mind was a storm. He had kissed her. For the first time in his life, he had allowed himself to feel what he always feared. Us. And instead of breaking, she had leaned into him, trusting him, wanting him. Kale closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "I should not have done it. Yet, I cannot regret it." The morning after, when dawn's light entered the cave, Elara stirred. She blinked, finding herself still in his arms. A blush warmed her cheeks, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled faintly. "You didn't." "Let go," Kale's deep voice rumbled. "I couldn't." Her hand rested against his chest, feeling the strong beat of his heart. "Kale, you keep saying you are too big, too dangerous. But last night proved something. You're more gentle than anyone I've ever known." His jaw tightened. "Gentle, only because I fight myself with every breath." She shook her head. "No, because you love, even if you don't want to admit it." The word struck him harder than any claw or blade. Love. The surrender 4 hours they spoke in whispers. Voices low in the quiet cave. Kale told her about his kind, the warriors. Bred for endless battles, cursed to believe they were too monstrous for tenderness. Elara told him of Earth, of skies filled with stars, of oceans that sang in the wind. The more they shared, the more the wall between them broke. When night fell again, the cold crept back. Kale tried to cover her with furs, but she shivered still. This time, he didn't hesitate. He lay beside her, wrapping her fully in his massive arms. "Elara," his voice cracked. "I hurt you. I will never forgive myself." Her eyes met his, steady and warm. "Then don't hold back your fear. Hold me instead." His silver eyes burned. Slowly, carefully, Kale pressed his forehead to hers. Their breaths mingled, hearts pounding. Then his lips found hers, again deeper this time. Filled with the ache of years of loneliness, they surrendered to each other. Not as alien and human, but as two souls who had finally found where they belonged. The new life days passed, and their bond grew stronger. Kale's touch, once hesitant, became certain. Elara's fear faded into trust. They hunted, laughed, and even shared silence as if it was its own language. But one morning, Elara woke with a strange feeling. Her body was heavy, her stomach uneasy. She leaned against the cave wall, breathing hard. Kale noticed instantly. His hand cupped her shoulder. "You are ill." Elara shook her head, though her eyes widened as realization struck. "No, not ill." Her hand touched her stomach. "Kale, I think." Her voice trembled. "I think I carry life." The words froze him. His silver eyes widened in disbelief. "That is not possible. I told you my body, my blood, it was never meant." But she met his gaze with certainty. "And yet, it has happened." Kale's chest heaved. His hands trembled as he reached out, not daring to touch her at first, then slowly placing his palm over her stomach. For the first time in his life, he felt something greater than war, greater than fear. A child. Their child. His voice broke. "Elara, you have given me more than I ever dreamed. I thought I was not breeding material, but with you." His eyes shone with fierce devotion. "With you, I am whole." The shadow returns. Their joy was fragile, brief. That night, the forest shook with a roar unlike any before. The cave walls trembled. Outside, the ground split, and glowing green eyes lit up the darkness. The great shadow Kale had sensed before had come. It was no beast, it was a predator older than the forest itself. A hunter of warriors. Kale's body tensed, rage and fear colliding inside him. He pulled Elara close, his voice harsh. "Stay here, protect the life inside you. I will end this." Elara grabbed his arm, tears in her eyes. "Don't leave me, not now." He cupped her face, his silver eyes burning like fire. "I will return, because now I fight not only for you, but for our future." The cave was quiet, but Kale could not rest. His arms still held Elara, her small body curled against his chest. Her breathing had slowed into sleep, soft and steady, but his mind was a storm. He had kissed her. For the first time in his life, he had allowed himself to feel what he always feared. And instead of breaking, she had leaned into him, trusting him, wanting him. Kale closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "I should not have done it. Yet, I cannot regret it." The morning after, when dawn's light entered the cave, Elara stirred. She blinked, finding herself still in his arms. A blush warmed her cheeks, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled faintly. "You didn't let go," Kale's deep voice rumbled. "I couldn't." Her hand rested against his chest, feeling the strong beat of his heart. "Kale, you keep saying you are too big, too dangerous. But last night proved something. You're more gentle than anyone I've ever known." His jaw tightened. "Gentle, only because I fight myself with every breath." She shook her head. "No, because you love, even if you don't want to admit it." The word struck him harder than any claw or blade. Love. The surrender for hours they spoke in whispers. Voices low in the quiet cave. Kale told her about his kind, the warriors. Bred for endless battles, cursed to believe they were too monstrous for tenderness. Elara told him of Earth, of skies filled with stars, of oceans that sang in the wind. The more they shared, the more the wall between them broke. When night fell again, the cold crept back. Kale tried to cover her with furs, but she shivered still. This time, he didn't hesitate. He lay beside her, wrapping her fully in his massive arms. "Elara," his voice cracked. "If I hurt you, I will never forgive myself." The ground shook as the shadow rose from the forest. Its body was made of darkness, taller than the cliffs, its glowing green eyes like burning suns. The smaller beasts that once hunted Kale fled in terror. This was their master, their god of spring. Hunger. Kale stood at the cave mouth, his massive body blocking the entrance. Behind him, Elara clutched her stomach, whispering prayers to stars she could no longer see. The shadow roared, and the world trembled. Kale's silver eyes narrowed. "You chose the wrong night to hunt." The last battle, the monster lunged, claws ripping through stone. Kale leaped forward, striking with fists that glowed faintly as if the crystals of the cave had given him their strength. The clash shook the forest. Lightning split the sky, revealing two giants locked in war, one of shadow, one of flesh. Kale roared, slamming his fists into the beast's chest. But the creature's body was not solid. His blows passed through black smoke, leaving only sparks of light. From the cave, Elara screamed, "Kale!" Her voice fueled him. He remembered her touch, her trust, her confession of love. He was not just a weapon anymore. He was more, grabbing a shard of glowing crystal from the ground. Kale drove it deep into the monster's core. The beast shrieked, darkness exploding outward, but it was not enough. The shadows struck back, claws raking across Kale's chest. Blood poured and he staggered. Elara's heart broke. She wanted to run to him, but her body trembled with weakness. She pressed her hand to her stomach. "Please, let him live. For us." The power of love. Kale dropped to one knee. The shadow loomed above, ready to strike the final blow. Then something strange happened. The crystals in the cave began to glow brighter, pulsing like hearts. Elara's tears fell onto the stone, and where they touched, the ground shimmered with light. Kale felt it, the strength of 2 lives. Okay, not one, burning inside him. Elara's trust, their child's future. He rose, blood dripping, silver eyes blazing brighter than ever. I am not made for love. Then watch me love, and watch me destroy you for it. With a roar, Kale charged. His body glowed as if the planet itself had given him power. He drove the crystal shard into the shadow's core again and again. Each strike tore light from the darkness until finally the beast shattered, exploding into mist that vanished into the night sky. Silence fell. The storm was gone. The forest bowed in stillness. The aftermath. Kale staggered, his body torn with wounds. He fell to one knee, gasping for air. Elara, he whispered. She rushed to him, tears streaming, wrapping her arms around his massive frame. You did it. You're alive. He touched her cheek with a trembling hand. I told you I would return. Her smile broke into sobs as she pressed her forehead to his. You saved us all, Kale. You saved our future. For the first time, Kale allowed himself to smile. Not the smile of a warrior, but of a man who had finally found peace. The rescue days? Later, as the forest healed, the sky split open. A ship descended human. The signal fire Elara had made during Kale's battle had been seen. Elara's heart leaped. They found us. Kale's face darkened. If they take you back, will you still choose me? Her eyes shone with tears. Kale, I don't want Earth anymore. My world is here. With you, with our child. The ship landed, soldiers stepping out, eyes wide at the sight of the giant alien holding a human woman like treasure. Weapons lifted, unsure if Kale was enemy or protector. Elara raised her voice, fierce and certain. Don't shoot. He is mine. He saved me. Without him, I would be dead. The soldiers hesitated. The commander lowered his weapon, studying Kale. For a long moment, the air was tense. Then the commander nodded once. Then he comes with us. The future as they boarded the ship. Kale looked at the stars, then down at Elara, resting safely in his arms. My body was too big. I was not meant for love, yet you made me more than what I was. You made me a mate, a father. Elara pressed her lips to his chest, whispering, and you made me more than human. You made me yours. The ship rose into the heavens, carrying them toward an unknown future. But neither of them feared it, 'cause now they had each other. Final hook, as the stars stretched before them. Elara smiled faintly. Do you think our child will look like you, or me? Kale's silver eyes glowed with quiet joy. Whichever it is, they will be stronger than both of us, because they will be born from love. Far away, beyond the stars, a new shadow stirred something even greater watching them. But that was a story for another time.